So it's, our entire system of commerce is based on understanding that two people are responsible for each other in a marriage. There are all sorts of issues around free will and volition when it comes to polygamous relationships. Those are all things that the government, in assessing whether or not polygamous relationships are entitled to equal protection, could easily find they are not because of public policy reasons. But you know what? That is not the issue. Talk to me about why, and I would just bring it back. You may want to engage a little bit, but I would not go very far down that road, because now all of a sudden you're in their frame. You're not talking from our space, which is, that's not what I'm talking about. We are talking about this. Talk to me about why this is not okay, and why we would possibly say that it's okay to eliminate these rights.
And it's important to think about that not just in a debate situation, but let's say someone's being interviewed by a print reporter or on radio, then it's that moment that's called the turn, right? You're bringing it back to our framing. We're talking about loving, committed couples in California. We're talking about everybody wanting the exact same thing: security for their families, recognition, of their love, and sort of bring it back around to what the issue really is. Joe, did you have your hand up?
I did, but we've already passed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, I remember what
All right.
I'm sorry. I'm curious as to how, and I won't say on the sheets. It concerns me that there's a bishop getting up and saying, do we just say that's not true? That's a lie? I mean, is that best we can do? Is there something else that we can say?
Well, keep in mind, okay, so, well, you know what, why don't you finish up, and then let me get to the messaging, and I'll address that there, okay? Because it actually will come up. I will address it.
Okay, there's only one other quick thing on your sheets here about part of the community. So item 3 on your talking point sheet. So yeah, remember that let's all remember that same-sex couples are part of our community. They're our neighbors, they're our co-workers. Kind of, again, this goes back to the personalization. That these are our people. These are people within our community who are wanting this same thing. We want this ability to marry, and we don't want to take away their right to do that. So I think we've covered the main talking points. So if you want to hit religion question.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about a little bit more about the messaging, and this is where Joe's point comes up. So this is the messaging that you're going to see in our first ads, and that you're going to see in direct mail, and that you're going to see from the campaign itself. This whole eliminating of fundamental rights that is the stuff that tests the very best. You want to give people room to wiggle on the ultimate question of marriage. As much as I would like, us to see polls showing folks completely down with same-sex couples having the right to marry, there's still a squishy universe of undecideds who haven't quite made up their mind. You want them to live with that space comfortably as they vote no on Prop 8. So eliminating fundamental rights, huge. That we're part of your community, just like Donna said, and actually even if you are LGBT yourself, I'm on the ballot. My family is on the ballot. And I'm asking you to, if it's a personal kind of relationship, I'm asking you to not vote no on my family and my relationship. So you just have to decide how personal you want to make it. Donna talked about this a little bit already. We've sort of run through those. Here's where the polling shows right now. And I know there have been some public polls that, every time I see this headline above the fold, everybody's like, hey, you're 10 points ahead. And my stomach just falls, because that is not what we are seeing in the polling that we are doing. There's different methodology in all sorts of polls, and I know a lot more about that crap now than I've ever wanted to know. I'm going to forget it as soon as November 5th comes around. But what I can tell you right now is we are in a dead heat. We are in an absolute dead heat. This will be the fight of our lives to the very end. And if we win, it will be by no more than 5 points. And I think it'll be by 2 points. It will be that close. This is what 40% firmly no. And this goes to Joe's point. So when the bishop gets up and says, my church is going to have to marry gay people, he's talking to his 40% that are already against us anyway. I mean, they're yes votes. They're already against us anyway. They're already in his column. So that is not a message that we're going to spend a lot of time on. It should definitely be refuted if you hear it being made. But most people don't believe that's true. And if they do believe it, they're already voting yes. If they are a member of a religious community that is saying, we will be forced to marry same-sex couples, that is a universe that's going to be lost to us, in addition to very ardently anti-gay folks. So we want to spend time, at least the campaign itself and the dollars and the messaging that you're going to see top line, on the messaging that's moving that 20% of the undecided universe. And man, are they undecided. It is a very small universe of undecideds for a ballot measure at this point in time. Many of the other ballot measures that are coming up in November have 40 to 50% undecided. This is 20 and it's shrinking. And sometimes they slide over to a no, and sometimes they slide over to a yes. So they're up for grabs, essentially. Campaign structure, you can't win a ballot measure in California based on fabulous volunteers, committed organizations. You have to hire professional campaign folks, and we've got some of the best. Dewey Square Group, Steve Smith is our lead consultant from Dewey Square. He has run 12 no campaigns over his 30 years of experience. He's never lost one. So we kind of like those odds. And Ogilvy PR has worked with him on many of those campaigns. They are the brilliant minds behind, I don't know if people remember, in 2006, parental notification was on the ballot again. It is on the ballot again this coming November. That's Prop 6. And, is that right? 4, thank you. I knew as soon as I said that, I was wrong. It's Prop 4. They're the ones who created that balloon ad that you may not have shown here so much because the Bay Area was pretty solidly opposed to the parental notification measure. But it was a fabulous ad that really got people talking and paying attention and thinking, whoa, okay, if that's what's going to happen. This isn't my family. Yeah, my daughter would come talk to me, but a daughter in that family across the street, I'm not so sure she will or she could talk to her parents, and she might be in danger if she actually does. So, but it wasn't until that morning, the morning of the election, that measure, the parental notification measure, started gaining in the polls. So that's how long it took for undecideds to settle. Our undecideds are going to settle much quicker than that, but we have a team that we think can make them settle with us. I'm just going to, you don't have to look at all this list. I will just say that never before have we put together such a fabulous list of support across the state, civil rights organizations, businesses, corporations, national organizations, and this list is being added to every day. Okay, so here's the thing that is making my stomach clench today. We've raised just over $10 million from 32,000 donors. That's okay, except we just found out today the other side is at $15 million. This is the first time since the campaign started that they've been ahead of us in fundraising. So, I just want to be clear. If they raise more money than us, we will lose. Because what that means is the ads about polygamy, or about children being taught about gay sex in kindergarten, or about the softer ads, domestic partnership is good enough, why are they throwing marriage in our face? Those will be everywhere, and we will not have the money to counter them. The way you win in California is with media. Certainly, everything that you're doing gets us maybe another percentage, maybe 2, and given how close this is, everything you can do will make a difference. But if you have money, or you know people with money, we need to match them dollar for dollar, which means right now we're $4 million down. They're going to start their advertising sooner than we thought, and right now, these numbers now are very much lower than where we see them now. Their main money has come from organizations like the Knights of Columbus, the Mormon Church. The Mormon Church is now probably at $4 million, maybe $5 million. Many of these gifts that we've seen, their fundraising is starting to spike. Focus on the Family. We are expecting Focus on the Family will put in $5 to $10 million, maybe more. And that's going to happen probably next week. And then they're going to do a blanket media buy. Okay, so